everyone, my name is Khatia, and today on Internet Style we're going to be taking inspiration from the cottagecore aesthetic, which is sometimes also referred to as country lolita or farmcore. But before we begin, I have been seeing a lot of comments from you all about really wanting to copy the aesthetics that I talk about but being insecure about it because of your body type. So I just want to clarify that none of the aesthetics that I cover are in any way limited to one specific body type. I think the best thing about fashion and modern aesthetics like cottagecore and dark academia is that anybody and everybody can participate in them. The majority of these aesthetics are characterized by certain colors and fabrics which come in the form of clothes in many different shapes and sizes. I don't think the way you look should ever restrict you from wearing certain clothing, especially if it's something you're really passionate about adding to your closet. Even if you're uncomfortable wearing a certain item that I mentioned, my videos are in no way intended to be followed strictly like instructions. I make them to serve as a source of inspiration, which is why I always try to mention any possible alternatives for certain styles. I know it can be difficult to find the confidence to wear certain items, but I promise that will naturally develop when you start wearing whatever makes you feel the happiest and the most like yourself. But with that being said, what exactly is the cottagecore aesthetic? Well, Urban Dictionary defines it as an aesthetic based around the visual culture of an idealized life on a Western farm. Some common themes include flora and fauna, or plants and animals, rural living, and nature. Most of the pieces seen in this aesthetic could be worn at picnics and tea parties. Cottagecore originates from Tumblr, but it recently re-emerged on TikTok and Instagram as a trendy way to dress. Green, white, and other neutrals like tan and oatmeal make the most appearances, but generally the colors in this aesthetic are mostly seen in nature, so muted pastels and jewel tones like mauve, rust, and olive green are also pretty common. The fabrics and patterns we see in the cottagecore aesthetic are mostly made of or inspired by naturally occurring materials like straw, silk, and leather. There are also appearances by floral and fruity patterns, gingham and plaid, and lace. Tea dresses or A-line floor-length dresses with either a milkmaid or peasant silhouette are the most often seen. Since cottagecore is generally a more feminine aesthetic, we see lots of frilly, ruffly, and tiered designs, sometimes with lace insets. For tops, white and neutral loose blouses are the most popular, especially those with accentuated sleeves and necklines or button details. We see peasant and milkmaid silhouettes pop up quite often because they fit this criteria the best. As for bottoms, we see a lot of A-line skirts, both in maxi and midi lengths. Pants are pretty rare in this aesthetic, but we do see a lot of overalls, specifically in light wash denim and corduroy. The pockets on these overalls and sometimes the necklines of dresses are often adorned with embroidery. The shoes for the cottagecore aesthetic are usually something you'd wear for a hard day's work, so the majority are flat and comfortable. For example, flat leather sandals with and without block heels and Oxford shoes are quite common. The majority of the accessories for this aesthetic are focused around the head, so we see a lot of bandanas used as both hair bows and head wraps, and hats, specifically straw sun hats and Panama hats. Straw is a reoccurring material in the accessories. If you're not holding a straw handbag or a basket, then you probably have a faux leather bag on your arm, and sometimes frilly socks are worn for another dainty feminine touch. The jewelry is also dainty and has an overall vintage appearance, so we see pearls and floral as a motif along with watches. So I try to take all this information and boil it down into 3 trendy outfits. Everything I wear will be linked in the description, but without further ado, let's go through them. For the first outfit, I picked this white puff sleeve milkmaid corset top. It has a train that makes it appear like a dress, so in combination with the color and the material, this top perfectly checks all the boxes for this aesthetic. I paired it with the matching white eyelet shorts that it came with. Now my combo is a little bit on the fancier side, but this outfit could still work if you just had a regular milkmaid top or crop top and you paired it with a white maxi skirt. I brought in a leather element with these extra black lace-up gladiator sandals. Since they're knee-high, they help balance out the contrast in the length of the top and the shorts. Like I mentioned, straw is a very big part of cottagecore, so I try to incorporate it with this sun hat, and I posed next to this beautiful picnic basket as well. For jewelry, I went with simple classical designs with this gem ring and butterfly necklace. The second outfit is by far my favorite, and all I can think about when I see it is Belle from Beauty and the Beast. but make it fashion. It consists of this white peasant blouse layered underneath a blue silk maxi dress with a button detail on the waist. The stark contrast of the colors is pretty eye-catching, but I feel like the blue of the dress is still muted enough that it could be seen in nature. I think layering a peasant blouse under a maxi dress will work very well even if it's not silk or blue. I think it's the combination of the two items that fits really well into the aesthetic as opposed to just the dress itself. I paired this combo with this white head wrap with blue accents because it matches the dress and also this floral embroidery straw mini handbag. For shoes, I went with these simple black lace-up flats. However, these could be replaced with black or brown sandals, Oxfords, or even boots. I feel like I'm ready to go milk the cows in this outfit, but also not really because the dress is pretty expensive, but the milkmaid vibes are definitely strong in this one. Outfit, since maxi dresses are the most common in the cottagecore aesthetic, I went for this neutral one with green accents. I paired it with my burgundy Mary Janes because they match the colors in the dress as well. I think the floral pattern on this dress is very vintage inspired, so it fits perfectly into the aesthetic, but honestly, even if it was plaid or gingham, it would still work because of the classical silhouette. My satin head wrap is a muted green and it features a flora and fauna pattern. If you don't want to cover your whole head with a bandana, then wearing it as a hair tie is a simple alternative. I also added the circular straw handbag, but feel free to replace it with a straw basket because it will have the exact same effect. For jewelry, I went with this crescent moon necklace, honeycomb bracelet, and rose earrings. I feel like this is a really easy way to incorporate more flora and fauna elements into the look. I feel like I'm dressed perfectly to go flower picking and then indulge in a classy, curated charcuterie in a grassy field in the middle of nowhere, which I think is exactly how cottagecore is supposed to make you feel like. Also want to be cottagecore but you don't have any of the items I mentioned specifically, definitely try to use the color palette as inspiration. Avoid neons and loud colors and try to pick more classical and feminine designs. When you're picking clothing, think modern Victorian fashion. Extra points if you can incorporate floral or lacy materials and add straw accessories. If you're interested in dressing in more modern, classical inspired styles, then make sure you check out this video about the dark academia aesthetic next. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which outfit from 1 to 3 was your favorite. Like this video, click that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!